Oi, mate, have you noticed how every bloody bill these days feels like a kick in the guts? Rent's sky high. Groceries cost more than a weekend at the Goldie. And don't even get me started on power prices. But here's the bit that'll really fry your circuits. Australia, one of the richest countries in gas and coal on the planet, is now teetering on the edge of importing the very energy we export. Yeah, you heard right. We're shipping off truckloads of gas to China and Japan, while battlers back home are getting slugged triple the price just to keep the lights on. What the bloody hell is going on? Before we dive into this gas-fueled train wreck, where Aussie energy gets sold to China, the pollies cash in, and everyday blokes freeze in their own homes. Smash that like button like you're torching your power bill in protest. Subscribe if you're sick of being shafted by suits, and grab the Error 404 Motivation Not Found tea. Links in the description before they start taxing your heatwave sweat. This isn't just some bureaucratic hiccup. Nah, mate. This is a full-blown stitch-up. The kind of political negligence that'd make a pub brawl look polite. Years ago, our so-called leaders, looking at you, Labour under Rudd and Gillard, greenlit liquefied natural gas exports without demanding a single cubic metre be reserved for Aussies. Every other gas-exporting country in the bloody world made sure their people were sorted first. Not us. Nah, we just bent over, handed over the keys and said, "Take what you want, fellas." Western Australia? They had their heads screwed on. They locked in a domestic gas reservation. 15% of all gas stays local. East Coast? Sweet bugger all. And now we're copping it. Energy prices have bloody tripled. Not because we don't have enough gas. We've got more than we know what to do with. But because international giants are hoovering it all up, liquefying it, and flogging it off overseas for a premium. Meanwhile, you're sitting there wondering whether to turn on the heater or just wear 5 jumpers to bed. Fair go? Mate, it's a bloody disgrace. The gas giants are laughing all the way to the bank. And who's picking up the tab? United States. The little guy. Mums, dads, tradies, pensioners, small businesses. We're all getting kicked in the teeth while our politicians play climate crusaders for brownie points with the UN and virtue-signalling Twitter mobs. And Albanese? Don't get me started. The bloke praises WA's reservation policy on one hand, and with the other calls the coalition's East Coast plan something out of a Cocoa Pops packet. What kind of cereal box leadership is that? You've got to wonder, who's pulling the strings here? Because it sure as hell doesn't feel like Canberra's working for us anymore. It feels like they're working for someone else. Foreign corporations, global institutions, climate lobbyists with more time than sense. They tell us we need to transition to net zero, but they don't say how we're meant to pay for it. They pat themselves on the back for shutting down coal plants while we import solar panels made with slave labor. It's not just hypocrisy. It's economic self-harm dressed up as progress. But wait, it gets worse. There's talk we'll need to start importing gas soon. Yep. Despite being one of the top gas exporters on the planet, we could be bringing in gas at double the price. Why? Because we let the corporates sell it all off, and now there's not enough left for us. So we'll import it back. After it's been frozen, shipped, and marked up. That's like selling your steak to your neighbor and buying back a meat pie from 7-Eleven for triple the cost. And don't think this is just about energy bills. Nah, this cuts deeper. Manufacturing's copped it hard. No one wants to run a factory in a country where energy costs more than the machinery. That's why we lost Quas, the last plastics manufacturer. Oceanic Glass? Gone. Uscape Steel's threatening to pack up too. Fertilizer plants are shutting down or buggering off overseas. What does that mean? It means fewer jobs, more imports, less control. The kind of economic decline you don't bounce back from in a hurry. We had a chance to fix it. The coalition, for all their faults, had a plan. Put a levy on uncontracted gas exports, make it cheaper to sell locally than to flog off to China. Seemed like a no-brainer. But Albo and his mob tossed it aside like a warm beer on a hot day. Instead, we get vague promises and spin. We already have the power to force producers to sell domestically, they say. Yeah, then bloody do it. Because from where I'm standing, nothing's changed. And the bills just keep climbing. Here's the real kicker. While they're playing politics, real Aussies are making real sacrifices. Pensioners sitting in the dark to save on power. Families choosing between food and heating. Small businesses shutting their doors because they can't afford to run a bloody fridge. And all the while, we're told this is necessary for the climate. But if this is progress, mate, you can shove it. We're not asking for a miracle, just a bit of bloody common sense. We've got the resources, the tech, the talent. What we don't have is a government with the guts to stand up to the global gas giants and say, "Oi, not until our mob are sorted." Instead, we get blokes in suits who fly to climate conferences in private jets and tell us to ride bikes and boil less water. Yeah, cheers for that, Kev. You want to talk about emissions? Let's talk about the emissions from importing gas we already had. Let's talk about the emissions from shipping solar panels halfway across the world. Or better yet, let's talk about the human cost, the mental load of financial stress, the bloke who lost his job because the factory closed, the single mum who can't afford to keep the heater on. These are the real emissions, the kind that don't show up in graphs, but burn just the same. And while all this is happening, the media stays quiet. Most of them are too busy parroting government press releases or chasing clickbait about celebrity diets and AI sex bots. No one's talking about the fact we're literally sabotaging our own economy in the name of being green. But here's the truth. You can't save the planet by destroying your country. And that's exactly what we're doing. You want a clean transition? Fine. Build the infrastructure. Get nuclear on the table. Use our gas to back up renewables instead of selling it off and pretending wind alone can power a country the size of ours. But don't punish the everyday Aussie just to make a headline. Don't pretend we're doing this together when the only ones feeling the squeeze are the ones who have never set foot in a Parliament House lunchroom. This isn't just about energy, it's about sovereignty. Who controls our resources? Who decides our prices? Right now, it sure as hell isn't us. It's international corporations, foreign buyers, and clueless politicians more worried about their next press conference than their people. We didn't vote for that. We didn't sign up for it. But unless we make noise, they'll keep getting away with it. WA did it right. They looked out for their own. They've got cheap gas, strong industry, and power prices that don't make you cry. Why can't we? Why are we the only mugs in the world exporting our lifeblood and begging for scraps in return? And while we're on the subject, you ever notice how we're exporting coal hand over fist while being told it's too dirty for us? China and India are burning Aussie coal like it's going out of fashion, but we're shutting down our plants and buying overpriced batteries from Europe. That's not saving the planet. That's just outsourcing emissions so we can look clean on paper. Meanwhile, our grid's hanging by a thread, and blackouts are becoming the new normal. All for what? So some minister can get a pat on the back in Davos? It's time we stopped playing by their rules. Time we started looking out for our own. We've got the resources, we've got the know-how, and we've got the bloody right. So why are we acting like a third world nation in our own backyard? It's not a climate emergency, mate. It's a leadership emergency. And until we fix that, no amount of windmills or solar panels is going to save us. We need to stand up, speak out, and demand better. Because if we don't, the only thing we'll be exporting soon is our jobs, our industry, and our future. And that's not just controversial. That's criminal. And if you're thinking, what can I do? Start by asking questions. Start by calling out the bull when you see it. Share this message. Talk to your mates. Tell your MP you've had enough of this net zero nonsense that lines the pockets of billionaires while leaving the rest of us in the cold. Literally. Because if we don't fight for our future, who the hell will? Now here's a bit they don't want you talking about. How many politicians, current and former, have cushy little side gigs with the very corporations bleeding us dry? Go on. Have a squiz at the boards of these energy giants. You'll see familiar names. Former ministers, advisors, consultants, the same lot who made the policies that let this circus run wild, now raking in six-figure sums for strategic advice and liaison work. It's a revolving door between Parliament House and the corporate suites, and we're the mugs footing the bill while they sip wine and talk about market forces. This isn't just some quiet coincidence. This is systemic. You know how the whole East Coast gas export fiasco kicked off in the early 2000s? It was under Labour, sure. But the Libs didn't exactly scream from the rooftops to stop it either, because both sides have their hands in it. Both sides are more worried about appeasing the big end of town than making sure your nan doesn't freeze her ass off in a fibro home in Dubbo. And don't even get me started on the climate cult that's taken over Canberra. This isn't about science anymore, mate. It's about control. Every time they scream climate emergency, what they really mean is, get ready to pay more and get less. They're not shutting down coal because they've got a better alternative. They're shutting it down to score points with global elites and green billionaires who fly private and buy offsets like it's monopoly money. Meanwhile, what's the plan? Replace reliable baseload power with wind turbines that stop spinning when it's calm and solar panels that clock off the minute the sun sets? Don't laugh. That's literally the blueprint. They call it a transition, but it's more like jumping out of a plane with half a parachute and hoping the taxpayer sews the rest before you hit the ground. Here's a spicy little stat for you. Do you know what happened the day South Australia went all in on renewables? Blackouts. Massive ones. Industry shut down. Traffic lights dead. Hospitals scrambling. And what was the government's response? Well, it's part of the learning process. No apology. No responsibility. Just spin. Meanwhile, battery backups were hailed as the solution. But here's the truth they don't tell you. Those mega batteries can only keep a grid afloat for minutes. Not hours. Not days. Just long enough to hold off a total collapse while they pray the wind picks back up. And here's the irony. The kind that'd make a bloke laugh if he wasn't so busy paying through the nose. All this suffering, all this economic vandalism, is barely moving the global emissions needle. Australia accounts for about 1% of the world's emissions. 1%. Meanwhile, China's belching out more CO2 in a day than we do in a month. And they're still building coal plants like it's a national sport. But we're the ones sacrificing. We're the ones taxed, fined, scolded, and shamed into compliance. Don't use gas. Don't eat meat. Don't drive that ute. Don't dare question the science. Even if the science is coming from blokes who've never built a power plant, balanced a budget, or stepped foot in a factory. Nah, they're academics and activists and career politicians, and they treat dissent like heresy. You don't agree? Well, you must be a climate denier, a bogan, a backwards Neanderthal. Can't have a debate, only obedience. It's gotten so bloody Orwellian that a farmer can't even dig a dam without filling out 19 climate impact forms. You want to build a shed? Better check if it aligns with your local council's emissions targets. Meanwhile, China's pouring concrete over forests, and we're told to stop mowing the lawn on Sundays to save the planet. Dead set? You couldn't make it up. And this insanity isn't just sitting in the power sector. It's crawling into every part of life. The supermarkets now have sustainability surcharges. Farmers are being offered money to let their land go wild. Not for the environment, but for carbon credits sold to Megacorp who get to keep polluting while you pay more for mince. Think about that. Your local butcher's struggling, but some multinationals buying its way to green glory with dodgy offsets from halfway across the globe. It's a scam. A con, wrapped in feel-good slogans and hashtags that look good on LinkedIn. The worst part? They're grooming the next generation to cop it sweet. Schools are pumping kids full of eco-anxiety. They don't teach them how to change a tire or budget for rent. They teach them the world's going to end in 12 years unless they glue themselves to a highway and stop eating eggs. That's the education now. That's where your taxes are going. But here's the silver lining. And yeah, there is one. If you can believe it. People are starting to wake up. Slowly. Maybe. But surely. They're noticing the bills going up, the blackouts becoming normal, the factories shutting down. They're starting to ask questions. The kind the media don't want to answer, and the politicians pretend they never heard. It's no longer fringe to say, hang on a minute, maybe we need gas and coal. It's common bloody sense. And the more they push, the more folks are digging in their heels. Because Aussies might be laid back, but we're not stupid. We know when we're being taken for a ride. And this energy mess? This is the dodgiest ride since the pink bats debacle. We need to flip the script, not just complain. Act. Support Aussie manufacturing. Push your reps, the local ones, not just the high flyers. Demand an East Coast reservation. Demand nuclear energy gets on the table. Yeah, I said it. Nuclear, clean, efficient, reliable, and demonized for decades because it doesn't fit the greenie narrative. But France runs on it. So does Japan, the US, South Korea. Why not us? Because our polys are gutless, that's why. And while we're at it, start calling out the green gravy train for what it is. A multi-billion-dollar industry that exists to keep itself alive. They don't want solutions. They want the fear, the panic, the never-ending emergency that justifies more taxes, more controls, more grants, more government. It's a racket, and they're counting on you staying silent so they can keep skimming off the top. Well, I say bugger that. Let's get loud. Let's get stubborn. Let's remind them who built this country, who mined the ore, drilled the gas, built the factories, and powered the bloody grid before hashtags and handouts took over. This country was forged in sweat and steel, not in bureaucratic bloat and imported wind turbines. We've got the resources. We've got the grit. What we need is the will to say enough. Enough to the rorts. Enough to the global lecturing. Enough to the policies that treat Australians like second-class citizens in their own bloody land. Because if we don't, it won't stop at energy. The same mob now targeting your gas heater are coming for your meat, your ute, your backyard fire pit. Laugh now, but it's already happening in places like the UK and Canada. And if we don't hold the line here, we'll wake up one day in a country we don't recognise. Still ours on the map, but sold off in spirit. That's why we fight. That's why we speak up. Not just for cheap power or factory jobs, but for the right to decide our own bloody future, without being lectured by billionaires or bullied by bureaucrats. So share this message. Post it. Talk about it at Smoko. Ask your local MP where they stand, and don't accept spin. Don't cop the dodgy graphs and weasel words. Demand real answers. Demand real action. Because if we stay silent, we're just giving them permission to keep screwing us. And here's the final word, mate. This isn't a left versus right thing. This isn't about green versus coal. This is about sovereignty, sanity, survival, the very core of what it means to be Australian. And that's something worth standing up for. So keep pushing, keep questioning, keep fighting. Because if we don't, no one else will. And if they come after you for speaking the truth, just smile, crack a cold one, and tell them the Aussie battlers still got plenty of fight left. We built this land, and we're not handing it over without a bloody blue. Let's go. Catch you in the next one. And don't forget to smash that like button, like it just doubled your power bill. Oi, if this one lit a fire under ya, grab the Error 404 Motivation Not Found tea. Wear it while you're stuck in a blackout, watching factories shut down, or just trying to keep warm without selling a kidney. Stay sharp. Stay stubborn. And never stop calling out the bull they're piping through the grid and selling as progress. We built this country. Don't let them sell it to the highest foreign bidder. Till next time, legend.